How you doing? I'm Big D. Welcome to my show. I appreciate you stopping in and spending a few minutes of your day with me. Now, we're going to talk about silver, what could possibly happen in the next few months. We're talking only a few months. Listen to what I have to say, and after we are completed and you like what I have said to you, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button, leave a comment, let me know where you're from. Now, we could be looking at the biggest wealth transfer since the Hunt brothers with silver. We have to talk about silver because what's going on because of what Trump has just did. President Trump just signed a proclamation that's going to trigger the biggest wealth transfer in silver since the Hunt brothers cornered the market in 1980. I care if you have a financial survival. And right now, your financial survival depends on many different things. Maybe a little bit of what I have to tell you today. Now, before you go any further, please subscribe. I would love to know where you're from. And if you do leave a comment, I will leave a comment for you. Hopefully, you're committed to your financial survival and you're looking out for your family because I think this is something that really, really could help you out. Again, do your due diligence, research what I have given you, and see if this makes sense. Because to me, it makes sense. And it's especially what we're seeing with silver right now dropping again. This is another buy opportunity. Now, maybe a house with a mortgage that's going to take 30 years to pay off might sound like a great idea or an investment. I've always thought silver was one of the best options. It's always been inexpensive. It's always shown a really good upside to it. But now, with this proclamation that President Trump has already signed, we might have another insight. Now, you've been conditioned by a system that wants you poor and not independent. They want you working until you're 65, 70, 75 years old, maybe even longer, paying taxes your entire life and grateful for whatever scraps that you get when you go into the Social Security era. No, but here's the brutal truth. Every single day you hold dollars, you're getting poorer. Cash is trash. You must have heard that a million times, but it's true. Now it's been trash since 1997 when Nixon took a 19 when Nixon took over and took us off the gold standard in 1971, and it's becoming more trash every single year. The government prints trillions of dollars, devalues everything you shared, and you're sitting there wondering why you can't get ahead. You can't get ahead because you're playing a rigged game with a monopoly money. Now, let me give you some numbers because numbers don't lie. On the last 5 years, silver has been a supply deficit. That means more silver is being consumed than it's being mined. The cumulative shortfall is over 820 million ounces. Let's put that in perspective. That's a structural shortage, not a temporary blip. And while the shortage has been building, what have the big banks and governments been doing? They've been suppressing the price. They've been shorting silver in the future markets, manipulating the price downward because they don't want you to understand that the paper currency is worthless. Now, when silver goes up, people start questioning the dollar. When people question the dollar, the whole house of cards starts to collapse. So when they spent decades keeping a lid on precious metal prices. But here's what they didn't count on. Trump. President Trump understands something that most politicians don't. He understands leverage. He understands negotiation. And he's understanding that America has been getting screwed in trade details for the last 50 years. So what did he do? January 14th, 2026, he invoked Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act and declared silver a critical mineral essential to national security. This is the same authority he used for steel and aluminum. Now, this is the same playbook he's running on a semiconductor and rare earth elements. And if you understand this playbook, you understand exactly what's coming. Trump's strategy has three core pillars, and you need to burn through into your brain. First, use the tariffs as leverage to renegotiate trade deals. Second, shore critical manufacturing and supply chains back to America. Third, decouple from China and anything strategically important. He's done this with steel, aluminum, semiconductors, and now he's doing it with silver. Section 232 gives the president sweeping authority to restrict imports if they threaten national security. Now we're talking about tariffs, quotas, and here's the big one that everyone's missing. Minimum import prices, a price floor. Let me explain. What he means is simple terms, because this is where you're going to make or lose a fortune, one way or the other. If global silver is trading at $80 an ounce, but Trump's minimum import price of $100, then the importers have to pay $100 or face tariffs on the difference. Now, why would he do this? 4 reasons. 1, it protects and incentivizes domestic mining. When foreign silver has a $20 tariff attached to it, suddenly American mining operations become extremely profitable. More investment flows in. More jobs are created, more domestic supply comes online. 2, it reduces foreign dependency. The U.S. imports massive amounts of silver from Mexico, Peru, and yes, China. The price war makes it economically smart to mine silver domestically instead of relying on countries that might use this dependency against us. 3, negotiating leverage. This is classic art of the deal. Trump doesn't necessarily want to implement these price floors permanently, or does he? Now, he wants to use the threat of the price floors to force other countries to give us better terms. Now, it's economic warfare, and he's a master at it. Now, 4, if importers do pay that tariff differently, or pay that tariff difference, that's serious revenue inflows into the United States Treasury on every single ounce of silver that comes into this country. Here's what 99% of people don't understand about what's happening right now. This isn't just about silver. This is about the future of American economic power and whether we're going to be dependent on China for everything that matters. Let me give you the real numbers on China's dominance, because this is terrifying. China controls 70% of the global critical mineral process, or processing of these minerals. 70%. The United States is important dependent for 40% of those minerals. For 12 of them, we have 100% reliance with zero domestic production. Zero. Even when minerals are mined in Australia or Africa, they flow to China for processing. And China has already weaponized this dominance. They restrict rare earth exports to China or to Japan in 2010. They put controls in germanium, gallium, antimony in 2023 and 2024. In April of 2025, they added 7 more rare earth elements to their restricted export list. Now, the U.S. has zero domestic gallium production. And the USGS estimates that the Chinese ban on just gallium and germanium alone could cost us in our economy $3.4 billion in GDP losses. Now, do you understand why Trump is treating silver as a national security issue? Especially when it's one of the metals that are needed in military, high technology missiles and weaponry, airplanes, tanks. It's just endless. But because it definitely is something that we need to hold close. Now, silver isn't just a shiny metal. It is everything. It's in your phone, your computer, your car, your military equipment, medication, medical devices, solar panels, AI data centers. About 75% of all silver production comes as a byproduct of mining other metals like copper, lead, zinc, gold. You can't just turn on a silver production. It's not just a silver mine for the majority of the mining done. It comes out when you mine other things. The supply it's dwindling. They tell us we're in a 500 million ounce deficit every year for the last several years. I don't think that's the true numbers. They never tell us the truth, right? Now, which means it can't respond quickly to price increase. Now, Trump and his advisors understand this perfectly. They know that if they restrict imports and boost domestic demand simultaneously, they create a supply squeeze that benefits American producers while reducing our dependence on hostile say nations. Now let's talk about the mathematics of this opportunity, because this is where you either make a fortune or you sit on the sidelines and watch others get rich. Silver has been a supply deficit for 5 consecutive years. The cumulative shortfall is over 820 million ounces. Let that sink in. For 5 straight years, the world has been consuming more silver than it's been producing. That's not sustainable. Eventually, the price has to adjust to reflect reality. But here's where it gets interesting. Demand is exploding. Every piece of electronic equipment needs silver. The military needs silver. The medical applications need silver. The AI revolution and the data centers powering it need massive amounts of silver. Green energy, solar panels, electric vehicles, all of that needs silver. So you've got shrinking supply and exploding demand. Economics 101 says price has to go up, but it gets better. Trump's Section 232 investigation has a deadline, July 13th, 2026. That's exactly 180 days from his January 14th proclamation. Now, on July 13th, the Commerce Department has to deliver their recommendations to the president. After that date, Trump can act. Price floors, tariffs, quotas, everything is on the table. Smart money isn't waiting until July 13th. Smart money is positioning right now while everyone else is focused and scared. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say Trump gets a minimum import price floor. This is a minimum. $100 per ounce. Even if global silver is trading at $80, American producers can now charge up to $100 and still be competitive because foreign silver has to pay a $20 premium to get it into our markets. That's per ounce. Now, what does that do? It makes every margin U.S. silver mining project immediately profitable. Investment floods in. Production ramps up. Jobs are created. And here's the kicker. The price for the price becomes a new baseline. Now, if American producers can charge $100, they will. They'll jump right on. That becomes the market price. Now scale that globally. Other countries see the US setting price floors and they start demanding higher prices for their silver exports. The whole global pricing mechanism shifts upwards. You know what happens a few days ago? Silver crashed. Yep, and it's crashing again today. We saw massive leveraging unwind triggered by the worst Fed shared nomination, some hawkish Fed expectations, a stronger dollar outlook, futures and options, uh, chains got liquidated, forced selling, margin calls, algorithmic trading cascades. And you know what the masses did? They panicked. They sold. How do you do that? I see this over and over again. You get scared. Remember, silver is volatile. It follows gold. Sometimes it's a little slower coming back. But if gold drops, silver drops. Same thing with going back, but silver's a little slower. At least it seems to me. So give it a chance. I think it's like a stock. That's how I look at it. If you don't get out, you don't lose. But some believed that it wasn't going to come back. And then within a couple of days, it hit about $95 again, all the way down from the 74 low. I just recommend you don't sell. You got to do what you got to do. And you know what the masses did? They panicked. They sold. They ran away scared. You know what smart money did? They bought more. Let me tell you something. I learned from different people over the years. It's best to buy an asset when everyone else is running away, running in terror. Ooh, come on. You can do this. Hold on. Don't be scared. Don't let them see you're scared. Now, fundamentals for silver didn't change. The supply deficit didn't change. The demand explosion didn't change. Trump's Section 232 proclamation, that didn't change. And that changed, all that did change was that weak hands got shaken out of their position because they saw the crash. This crash is a gift, my opinion. It's a buying opportunity that's being handed to you on a silver platter. And it's back again today. It's back down to about $75, I think, the last time I saw it. Oh, no pun intended. Silver platter, you know. So if anything, this crash makes Trump's argument stronger. Lower pricing makes that we need to protect domestic producers and narrative even more compelling politically. It gives him more justification to act aggressively on tariffs and price floors. Now, the ship has sailed on silver price suppression. You can't keep a lid on silver prices while simultaneously building out a domestic supply chain and reducing leverage that countries like China have over price. Now, the policy goal is incompatible with low silver prices, which means silver got to go higher, or it's going to go higher. The only question is whether you're going to position yourself to profit from it Now let me give you the specific action plan, because knowledge without action is worthless. First, you need to understand the critical date, which is July 13th, 2026. That's D-Day. That's when the Commerce Department Section 232 investigation concludes, and Trump can take action. But don't wait till the 13th of July 2026. The State Department is hosting its first ever critical mineral ministerial in February of 2026, following executive orders to streamline permitting for domestic mining operations. Now that's a signal. March 17th to 18th is the next major FOMC meeting. Fed meetings matter, and for silver, because interest rates and dollar strength directly impact precious metal prices. Every FOMC meeting between now and July is a potential volatile event. Late April to early May, the Silver Institution releases their comprehensive world silver survey with updated supply and demand numbers if they report another massive deficit, which is likely given the structural issue we've been discussing. Now that adds fuel to the bull case right as we're approaching the Commerce Department deadline. Now, this report gets cited by mainstream financial media, so it derives narrative and momentum. Sorry. For those tracking physical silver, watch the COMEX. Watch the delivery month, March, May, and July. Now, these are futures contracts can settle in physical metal. The July delivery month is particularly interesting because it coincides with the Commerce Department deadline. If there's a squeeze in physical supply, or traders are positioning for policy changes, you'll see it in the delivery data and registered inventory levels. Now, here's what winners are doing right now. They're buying physical silver, not paper silver, not ETFs. It has to be something in your hand. You have to own it. Now, ETFs that can be manipulated, but actual physical metal that they can hold in their hands cannot. Their dollar cost average into positions, buying on the dips like the one we saw the other day, and also the one we're going through today. Some are talking about as low as $50, maybe even lower. You don't know, but use that as a gift. Now they're looking at silver mining stocks and companies positioning in the critical mineral space. Let me tell you about an opportunity that fits perfectly into this thesis. The Lotto Group, ticker symbol SO, on the New York State Exchange in America, has been merging with M2Y Global, which could put them directly into critical mineral space. Both companies have reaffirmed their expectations to close this deal by the end of quarter one, I believe, 2026. Now, I want to be crystal clear about the risk here, because I'm not going in to lie to you. This merger is not guaranteed. It's subject to SEC effectiveness, shareholders' approval, customary closing conditions. If the merger fails, the entire thesis changes. You need to read the SEC filings. You need to do your own due diligence. This is a small cap stock, which means it carries significant risk. But let me tell you what M21 brings to the table. I hope I'm saying that right. M21, M2I, maybe, but I'm pretty sure it's M21. If this deal closes, they're building the nation's first critical minerals reserve headquarters at the Hawthorne Army Depot in Nevada. This is designed to store, refine, distribute critical minerals for defense, clean energy, and industrial applications. They have established partnership with Australian mining operations. They've got an exquisite offtake agreement with NT Materials for 88,000 tons of copper, currently valued at approximately $1 billion. And if you know anything about copper, copper's going up as well. And it's staying up. It's a very strong metal. It's been in a deficit as well. Now, they're working with NIMI Resources on gallium from the Mons project in Western Australia, providing a non-Chinese source of mining we can produce domestically. So I hope this gives you some details, and I hope that I can see you back. So please subscribe. I'm trying to build a show, and I do appreciate everybody. If you leave a comment, I will leave a comment for you. God bless, and have a great rest of your day.